Going live. Checking my phone. Just got a notification.
Yep, I got the notification at the simultaneous. And we'll give it a few minutes for people to get dialed in because we don't have a pre-announcement
Okay.
due to my
And
technical difficulties.
all right. And I'm going to also share the link in Telegram.
Excellent. I can grab it from that Telegram and drop it into official. But then I got to close any extra apps. I won't have a lot of online internet capability today.
Okay.
Okay, I just see it. And you pinned it?
Yes, I pinned it.
There it is. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear my internet cut out. I can hear my internet cut out. Oh man. Gigabit internet. First world problems. Uh, I've got gigabit internet and it's not fast enough.
Rick has some serious internet. I have gigabit internet and it pales into comparison to your gigabit.
Yeah. I've
Good
tested it at 920.
upload. That's crazy.
920 download. The max upload I got was 610. But
Crazy.
lately it's been in the 300 to 400 megabit range upload.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, Rusty. Hi, Berga. Fernando, Pixel, Crypto Addictive, Robert, Leet Trance, Josh. How you guys doing? Yeah, I have gigabit, and my download speed is probably 500 600, but my upload speed is like 40 50. So
Yeah, that's where like businesses typically need the heavy upload because they're running the web server, right? So
yes.
you got to purchase the
Am,
dedicated IP.
Jeremy, Max, Fernando. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Cardano Effect. We didn't get an announcement out. I was wrestling my internet technical difficulties that
Yes.
I don't normally have.
Yes. We're gonna have a good time on this episode this morning. So we did not get a Twitter out, so we're just waiting for a couple people to step in. But we can start now. I can give the introduction. This way, those that don't want to see it can just fast forward to that.
Looks good.
All right. So welcome everyone to the Cardano Effect podcast, episode 50. This is our 50th episode. The purpose of this podcast is to take high-level developer information and projects that are occurring within the Cardano space and break them down into bite-sized, consumable pieces of information for everyday use. I'm your host, Philippe, and let's get this podcast started. So it's Rick and myself today as the host of the Cardano Effect. This is our 50th episode. We don't have anything special planned for today, but it should be fun. We have a lot of news to talk about. Not too many things have changed from the previous week to this week, but there are still a lot of topics that are hot on the press, and we want to bring them to you. So we thank everyone for spending their Saturday morning with us. It could be Saturday evening where you're at, or whatever day it is where you're located. Thank you. We appreciate this. This is our weekly live stream, so this is just us recapping the news. We don't have any special guests today. We are in the process of contacting people, but it is a meticulous process, and sometimes it takes a little bit longer than expected to get people to actually come on the podcast. But until then, we're going to continue doing our weekly live cap series. They've been received well, and whatever you have to add, any feedback, just please leave it down below. Remember to subscribe to the Cardano Effect podcast. That really helps us. We really want to grow this podcast as large as possible. And we have a pretty large podcast now, and it is in the middle of a bear market. So think about how many people we can onboard onto this project when the bulls finally return and this alt project takes off. So without further ado, none of what we say on this podcast is financial advice. Remember, you are your best financial advisor. And if you don't think you are, you need to find someone who's qualified to do so. So, Rick, how are you doing this morning? What's going on? What's happening?
Hey, Philippe, I'm doing well, thanks. Was working with all the folks late last night on the stake pool best practices working group. So a lot of really great people on that Telegram channel who helped me get a stake pool set up. So this morning I ran into technical difficulties. We're off to a late start. Not technical, it's just I ran out of internet and so and had some computer problems because I got the live stream going through my internet pipe plus this stream plus anything else, any other internet we're using, which everybody else in the house uses. So, but it's working well. What I want to do is, are you hearing any audio feedback? Because I have two audio things going right now. No feedback, or is it okay?
I don't hear any feedback on my end.
Okay, cool.
And I'm not
All
seeing
right.
any issues with audio in the comments section.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just had to double check that because I have a few more things up than usual. And so I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, IOHK. Thank you very much for sponsoring the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. You help make the podcast possible. And I would like to remind any new viewers to the program that this podcast is available on Google Play Music, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and all of your favorite streaming apps. It's available on all apps. So that out of the way, we got the stake pool. That's our big news or best news this week. The stake pool has been up for over a week. The testnet, the Shelley Testnet for networking, has been up and running. And that's a big thing in the news. We're dialed into Reddit, Cardano, sorted by top this week, and we're going to go through the news on there. But the stake pools was the big news. There was I checked Philippe right before I came up, right before we started. There are 88 pools registered, 88 pools, and I've got 93 connections going right now. So great start, great first week. What do you think?
That's wonderful. So 88 pools, 93 connections. Can you tell us which continents are missing? We were talking about this pre-live. We have a couple places that need to be represented. Can you go into further detail about that?
Yes, we're missing Antarctica. The Penguins haven't figured out how to use Linux yet, and they're the mascot for Linux. Come on, Penguins, get Antarctica on the map. Just kidding. Africa's not on the map yet. Maybe we can nudge John O'Connor and say, hey, John, set up a node over there in Ethiopia so we can get you on the map. South America is on the map now. Someone's setting up a node in Iceland. I saw them on Telegram, so maybe we'll get Iceland on the map. The only two continents missing are Africa and Antarctica. All others are represented.
Okay.
There's I include Australia because we got a connection to New Zealand.
Okay.
And I don't know if New Zealand is technically part of Australia. I tend to look at it that way because they have just as many venomous things in New Zealand as they have in Australia.
So we need something from the mainland Australian continent.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had a little thing going last night between North America and Europe. We need Mexico to jump in. Canada's in on the map. U.S. is on the map. We need Mexico to jump in there. And last night they had like 16 or 20 connections in the U.S. and 16 or 20 connections in the EU, and we were like going, okay, who's got the most pools running at this point? Just a little fun, just to have a little bit of fun.
That's awesome.
A little competition, friendly competition.
That's awesome. So 88 nodes, and we're supposed to probably get the incentivized snapshots sometime in November, mid-November we're looking at. So we still have a month and a half for nodes to continue connecting to the network, and I anticipate that as we get closer, there may be no more nodes that connect in preparation for that incentivized testnet or that incentivized snapshot. And even when the snapshot happens, it doesn't necessarily bar any other pool from joining the network and starting up again. So it's not like it's fixed at a certain date. There are going to be nodes that join after. There are going to be nodes that are going through the process as we speak. So please keep that in mind.
Yes. And some of the most common questions that I've seen come up on the live feed are, am I going to be able to stake from Daedalus on the testnet whenever the testnet staking is available? I do not know the exact answer. I believe you will be. You're going to have to be able to, because the average person is not going to be able to use Jormungandr to do it. I struggled through it, and I'm kind of a little bit DevOps, just a little. But I think you will. I do have a Daedalus wallet running on one of the test nets. There are multiple test nets running at the same time, and I do have a Daedalus wallet running on the test net. It works exactly like a regular Daedalus wallet. It just has a red tag that says testnet. I'm almost certain that would be the case. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's pretty simple. You just migrate that wallet, the Daedalus testnet wallet, onto the testnet. I wonder how. I don't know how you would enable the staking feature though. So that would have to be something for a user who wants to point to a pool. There would have to be a feature that allows them to select the pool and say, okay, I'm going to stake to that pool and point to it.
Yes.
So there's still a lot to be understood yet about how the individual user staking on the testnet will be. That I do not know. I cannot speak to it, but there is, Philippe. I saw an announcement earlier that there's going to be something coming out next week with Tommy and Marcus, a couple of people from the Cardano Foundation and community members. I don't know what it is, but there was an announcement by Tim Harrison that there's going to be an AMA next week. So maybe that AMA will help answer the questions. I'm not sure, but whatever that AMA is, I'm interested to watch. So
Yes.
just be alert to that.
Yes.
AMA will be out next week.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
That's wonderful. So let's get a couple of YouTube comments before we start the Reddit top 10. And we had a couple of news articles or news things that are happening. I don't know when you wanted to bring it up. If you wanted to bring it up now.
Let's hit it now because we hit the good and the bad. You know, the
Let's
good
hit it
stuff,
now. Yeah.
Testnet up and running. And the bad is that Chico Crypto released a video that was kind of a lopsided hit job on Charles Hoskinson. It was technically historically correct. You know what I mean? It was technically accurate, but it was lopsided in nature. I'd say it was rather disingenuous, might be a good way of putting it, because it simply just dragged up a bunch of mistakes that were made in the past and then highlighted them. And my analogy to that is with any endeavor in the history of humans, you can take any great accomplishments and hide all the good stuff and just drag up all the dirt that was behind it and point out all the dirt. And that's exactly what the video was. Now, I'm not going to say anything bad about Chico. He makes quality videos. He's a great video editor. Okay. And I guess his goal is to attract attention, and he's succeeded at that. But it's the content is simply, you can have a big pile of dirt with gold nuggets in it because it's mining slag, and you can say, oh, look at that big pile of dirt, but inside that pile of dirt are these gold nuggets, and you're ignoring the gold nuggets and you're just pointing out the dirt. That's just my take on it. And Philippe, if you wanted to give your take on that, and then I have a quote that I would like to read when.
Oh, definitely. I think that I watched the video. I think he's pulling straws and trying to connect them, and that's what he does. It's fine. What I didn't like is he took a snippet of my video that I shot November 4th, 2018. So that's almost a year ago, when it was the Michael Parsons era. So if those that were in the Cardano community back then, there was a little bit of impropriety going on with the Cardano Foundation and Michael Parsons and the Guardians of Cardano, which was a group that was the main purpose was to try to find the truth and make sure that the people that were supposed to be held accountable were held accountable, released an open letter, and they drew all these diagrams as far as the connections between certain individuals that work within the Cardano Foundation and maybe their ties in auxiliary businesses or other interests that didn't necessarily pertain to Cardano. So the purpose of that video, I went into depth of what was going on with that letter. It's still on my channel. You can check it out. And there was this little snippet that was taken out, completely out of context. I don't think it's relevant anymore whatsoever. So I don't really appreciate my video being used in your video. I don't know if you're going to watch this video, Chico Crypto. You have a much larger YouTube audience than I do. But next time, reach out to me. It's easy to find me. If you want to use a video from mine in your video, if you're doing a hit job against a particular person, before you start snipping people's videos that are completely unrelated to your cause, just reach out to the person. Yeah, I don't know how hard that is. I don't appreciate. I find it a little slanderous that my video was used to add slander to whatever cause he had, and no one reached out to me. I found out just like everyone else. So I'm a little heated about that. So next time, get at me, and I'm easy to find. So I'm gonna just leave it at that.
Yeah, fair enough. And the Cardano effect is licensed CC BY4. It's free for use. This channel's, you can use the content as long as you comply with the CC BY license. However, other channels are not. Okay, like Philippe's channel is standard YouTube license. So just be aware of that also. And please respect the YouTube policies and license. We'd appreciate that. And so here's the quote I would like to read off about that. And again, I wouldn't attack someone on the podcast. It's not what this podcast is for. But everyone that does view this podcast knows that I like history, and there's a lot to be learned from history. And this quote is from April 23rd, 1910, from President Theodore Roosevelt. And President Roosevelt said, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again. Because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." And Charles would be the man in the arena, and Chico would be the person sitting on the sidelines, pointing and laughing. And that's all I have to say about that. Again, CCBY license.
That was a great quote, Rick. Great quote.
Thanks. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I was reading the back, and I was like, what is this? This is like Charles is the gladiator, and this guy's the sitting in the stands going, ha ha ha, look at that. Okay, fine. That's I'm just calling it what it is. And it was simply, we wear our scars at Cardano. The only reason Chico was able to make that video is because Cardano is so transparent. Every single thing in that video is publicly available. The ICO in Japan, it's publicly available. It's on the Cardano website. And he pointed that out, fairly enough. He pointed that out, that the information is all publicly available. It is relatively historically accurate. That's fine as well. But it's simply pointing out the dirt and the scars. Yeah, Cardano has a lot of scars, but there's a lot of great achievements as well, along Plutus and Marlowe. And look at the history of the podcasts we have with all the great doctors and professors and scientists and researchers and hackers that we've had on the podcast. That says it all, man. Look at the IOHK YouTube website. Go to iohk.io, click on research, look at the papers. Philippe printed the stack of papers. We put out the challenge stack of papers.
Yes.
That research has extreme value to it, and it's free for everyone in the world to look at.
Yes.
It's there.
Yes.
So good job, Charles. Got your back, bro.
Definitely.
And I hope he didn't take offense to my cake thing last week.
How did that taste, by the way?
Oh my gosh, it was delicious. It was gigantic. Took us 3 days, took 4 people 3 days to eat that thing. We're like, oh, we gotta give her that cake.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the news, buddy.
Okay.
Or the YouTube Red.
Yes, let's take some YouTube comments. And I just want to remind everyone that it's a year after I released that video, the year after the Parsons era, and we're still here. Rick and I are working on our own nodes. We are still involved, and we're waiting for this incentivized testnet. We are still as excited to start staking and interacting with the platform. So that's what's important. We're working over here, and we're going to continue working. So, yeah.
Can't go away. Never quit. Ever.
Yes.
Never quit.
Yes. So Jeremy asked how many nodes are in the network right now. You said 88.
There's 88 pool certificates issued into the blockchain. 93 connections.
93 connections. And then we have Adrian said, is there information available on the website about setting up a stake pool? So you can go to the Cardano stake pool Telegram. There are not a lot of official documents as to how to start running your pool. I mean, you can find little bits of information here and there, but the versions are constantly being updated and bugs are being patched. So I assume that when we get closer to the incentivized testnet snapshot, there may be like an official documentation, do this, this, and this. But it's going to require some experience. It's not for beginners. I wouldn't say it's for beginners at all. And remember, if you do not feel you have the technical expertise, there's always going to be stake pool delegation. And I would argue that that's more important than actual stake pools being set up. People delegating the pools is going to really embolden this community and allow for a diversity of wallet holdings, and it's going to allow people to interact with this ecosystem. So don't be afraid to delegate.
Yeah. And currently the directions that are on the IOHK GitHub are for a pool. The command line is to set up the pool. So two processes. The other one is to delegate. The delegation process will be simpler. I know we touched on that earlier. Philippe, there's one more positive thing I wanted to hit on too.
Okay.
Merrick, also known as Steak Nuts, he made the first Cardano block on a moving train.
Really?
Yes. Can I do a screen
awesome.
share?
Of course.
There's two really cool things he did. One is he put up this graph that shows stake pools. It's not available on a public website, but eventually he'll make it out on his Steak Nuts website. And the other one's this video. Let me see if I can screen share this video without completely screwing this up.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm probably going to get confused because I got multiple audios. I should be used to that because I'm ex-military, but you lose it. If you don't use it, you lose it. Okay, so I'm going to screen share what? Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. I'm sharing this, and now hopefully my mouse interacts. Okay, so let me go. Oh, it's working. Yay. All right. Can't make an omelet without breaking eggs, right? All right, so if you notice over here where it says leader, he's on a moving train. You see where it says leader event starting, date 222.12809. That's Epic 222, slot 12809, and it said block from leader event successfully stored. That's his node acting as elected as a leader. Now watch this video. Here we go. It's very short, but check it out. He's on a moving train.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, that is awesome.
You know, if you tried to mine a Bitcoin block on a moving train, you would need the entire freight train.
Yeah. You would.
And a lot more power, too. You wouldn't be able to do it on a laptop. I'm just making a comparison, proof of stake, proof of work. I know it's comparing apples and oranges, but if you can achieve Bitcoin security with a lot less power. My node right now is using 220 watts, including the live stream.
That's incredible. Incredible.
Nice work, Merrick. Steak Nuts.
Yes.
Nice work, man. Okay. Oops, I'm losing stuff. If I drop out of the video feed, please understand.
Yeah. It seems like your connection is being tapered. So, yeah, Rick may drop off, but
yep.
I'm here. We have another question from Fee Astrom. Is there a map? So you can go on Rick's channel, Digital Fortress, and Rick is showing an interactive map. Oh, not interactive, but a live map of what's going on with nodes communicating with each other, which is pretty cool. And just go to Rick's channel, Digital Fortress, and you'll check that out right now if you want. We have people. Josh says his setup is on the way and he's going to get it running by the end of next week. That's awesome. And Fa Am says, can someone in one continent utilize a pool from another? Well, if you're referring to delegation, yes, you'll be able to delegate to any pool. Whether you're living in, so let's say you're living in the United States, you could delegate to a pool that is running a node in Antarctica or New Zealand or wherever around the world. That's the beauty of Cardano. It's decentralized, and you're going to be able to choose exactly where you want to go. So if you're familiar with like VPNs and how you can connect to servers in multiple different countries or whatever country you want to access your internet connection, it's going to work similarly. You're going to be able to access the pool in whichever place that you want to access. And you,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, you can point to any pool anywhere you want.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where the pool's located as long as it's visible to your node. I didn't point to all those pools. The peer discovery protocol found them and then put them on the map. I didn't do that. I didn't put them on the map. I just opened up the app and clicked on it.
Yes, yes, yes.
So that's what you'll do with the pools. You just, you open up your app and click on the pool and select it. And
yes. And they had a visual of that, what that looked like at the IOHK summit. And it's going to just be it's pretty much going to be a drop down menu. And there are going to be a lot of videos explaining exactly how to do this. I know you'll be able to find them on my channel. You'll probably be able to find them on Rick's channel as well. And there's going to be a lot of documentation. So trust me, if you want to stake, you'll be able to stake, regardless of your computer expertise. If you just know how to turn on a computer, you're still going to be able to learn how to stake. Someone will help you out and make sure that you are guided through the process. So don't be intimidated whatsoever.
Yes, please don't. And I see there's someone got upset about my Bitcoin comment. I'm not making fun of Bitcoin. Bitcoin did create the whole process. That's good. That's fine. It's just that the only reason I like proof of stake is 2.5 years ago, Bitcoin used 3 terawatt hours per year. Now it uses 53 terawatt hours per year. After the next bull run, if you plot it on a line graph, it could be 100 terawatt hours per year, a year or two from now, after the next bull run, after May of 2020, the hash rate's probably going to dip, go back up, and you're looking at 2 years from now, you're looking at 100 terawatt hours per year if you just plot it on a linear graph.
And
so it's not unreasonable to say.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Bitcoin has to be replaced.
It has to.
Yeah.
I was speaking about this with a good friend of mine this morning about how if blockchain is here to stay, Bitcoin can't be it can't be king forever. Because if you're saying that it's king forever, first of all, it's not scalable. It's old technology. If blockchain is truly here to stay and it's not just some sort of way to store value over a period of time, then there have to be other projects that supersede it. If you've ever looked at visuals, there are visuals online, and you look at the Olympics, and you look at track and field, you look at the 100-meter dash for men or women as well, and you look at runners from like the early 1900s to runners now, and for you to think that there's no improvement, I mean, they like visually show you the time difference, Olympics after Olympics after Olympics, and whatever wooden clogs they were running with in the early 1900s is now replaced with light shoe materials made of very light elements, and allows runners to quickly run and have different technique. There's different, people are bigger, people are stronger, people know how to go to the gym and take care of their bodies better. There's more nutritional science, there's more ways to improve yourself. And if you don't think that's the same applies to blockchain, then it's not going to succeed. If Bitcoin doesn't get improved on, it's not going to succeed. And Bitcoin has reached its limit as far as what it can do. That's it. So it's either it fails as whatever the purpose of it was, or we find something that's bigger, better, and stronger.
Yeah. And Philippe, I would like to compare it to the Ford Model T, okay? Bitcoin is like the Ford Model T. It was the first car. It was the original technology. Awesome. We had to clear that bridge, okay? You don't want to drive a Ford Model T today, do you? It's like that with all technologies. That's why I find it strange to compare Bitcoin to gold. You can't, I can't compare the two. Bitcoin is original technology, and like all technologies, newer and better technologies will come out, and the older ones will be replaced. That's how technology works.
Exactly.
Gold doesn't work like that. It's an element. It was created over 14.5 billion years ago. It's going to be around forever. Bitcoin will not be around forever. It is a technology. It will get replaced.
It will. It will.
Of course, people are going to hold on to it. It's just like when you buy your first thing and you're like, oh, well, I already bought this one. I don't want to buy the new one because I paid all this money for the one I have.
Yes.
People don't want to buy the new one. They want the one they have to be worth more.
Yes.
That's not how technology works. I mean, that's how Bitcoin and blockchain works conceptually.
Yes. Exactly.
I totally get how it works. But again, it is a technology. And once it hits its limit, it's going to get replaced.
Yes. And not saying that it won't have any value, because you could probably have a Ford Model T right now and sell it as a collector's item to someone at a antique car show. But at the end of the day,
Yeah,
no one's driving the Ford Model T. No
right.
one is driving it.
Yeah.
So
The Ford Model T might have cost $500. I don't know. $500 when it was invented. If you
yeah,
still had a working Ford Model T today, I don't know, 500,000 maybe. Who knows?
yeah. So
But you're not going to be
it,
driving it around.
exactly.
You're not going to get mass adoption of the Ford Model T.
Exactly. So let us jump to Reddit. Oh, someone just mentioned Vivek. You can check earlier in our video. We talked about the Chico video already. We went into that, and yeah, let's jump to the Reddit and see if we can get the posts.
Yep. Okay, so the top post in Reddit, we're sorted by top this week, is Cardano celebrates testnet launch with the New Balance partnership. That was also the #1 post from last week, and I think that's going to continue to be big news.
Yes, and I want to say a little bit about that because I've done a little bit more research, although I don't know anything else that's going on. But just researching what New Balance is, I mean, I know what New Balance is, but a little bit of the statistics behind the company. And I'm excited to hear, because there's supposed to be an official announcement October 14th, I believe, from New Balance. And New Balance is an American company. It is headquartered in Boston, Massachusetts. And that's very telling that they're using Cardano as their preferred blockchain, because there's a lot of regulation with these types of cryptocurrencies, or cryptocurrencies in general. And for an established American company to be using Cardano, it's very telling. They're not using Bitcoin, they're not using Ethereum, they're using Cardano. And they have stakeholders, they have an obligation to make sure that they make profits quarter after quarter. The revenue is around $4.5 billion per year. They produce in the United States, 70% of the material from their shoes comes from the United States. They produce 4 million pairs of shoes a year in the United States. So that's 8 million shoes, 4 million pairs. And the issue, what Cardano is trying to achieve, is more of a supply chain management side to authenticate these products. So we're talking about 4 million pairs of shoes. So if this is truly communicating with the Cardano blockchain, even if ADA is not being swapped from individual user who's purchasing a shoe to New Balance themselves as a company, transactions could still flow from that New Balance partnership. And we're talking about 4 million pairs of shoes a year. So that is going to fill up the blocks if the transactions are becoming interoperable with ADA in some sense. I can't visualize it yet, but we're going to hear more details October 14th. But if that's the case, we could see a transaction spike within each epoch, and that means more staking rewards for you and I, because the way staking works is we get paid more if the blockchain gets used more. So although you look at the calculator and you see 3%, 4%, depending on the number of transactions per each epoch, but there can be like 150 million transactions per 5-day period. So the more transactions we fill in those blocks means the higher staking rewards for pools, ultimately the higher staking rewards for you. So we're trying to get that as high as possible, and I think that's pretty good. And this company was founded in 1906, so it is over a century old. And this is an old-fashioned company. It's not a new company, and we're talking about old money, old companies here choosing new technology, and the project that they choose is Cardano. And this is, New Balance doesn't want to go out of business. They've been probably family owned for so long. So every decision that they make is calculative. So they're not speculating on some BS blockchain. They're choosing Cardano, which is very telling. So I'm very excited to hear what they say October 14th. Looking forward to it. Sorry for that rant, Rick. I'll pass it back over to you.
No, that wasn't a rant. The history there at the beginning with New Balance, that was fantastic. I learned something new, man. I always like learning something new. I did not know it was primarily American. It was an American-based company with a lot of shoes made in this country. And it's interesting with the counterfeiting effect. When I fly into Japan, Narita Airport, I've flown through there several times. They have a beware of counterfeiting kiosk that shows real items and counterfeit items. I can barely tell the difference, man. I've said that before, and I've looked at my wife. I'd go, which one's counterfeit? I mean, it's marked. So that's how you know. I was like, well, if it wasn't marked, I wouldn't know it was counterfeit. So maybe they'll use RFID tags or something like that.
And counterfeiting is a huge problem, especially for apparel. I went to China back in college. I believe I went in 2012, and I mean, I've never seen anything like this before, and I don't want to insult anyone who has an affinity towards China or anything like that. This is not a bash against any particular country, but the counterfeiting is just it's the most mind-boggling thing you've ever seen in your life. I mean, you see Nike stores and it's like, the check is off. It's like the check on the sign it's just like crooked. Apple signs are slightly crooked and they're selling the exact same product. And it's like IP infringement. So you design something, they reverse engineer it, break it down, and make it with cheaper materials, and it's not good. It's not good. It's not good for what the products are used for. I know this is especially important in sports, and New Balance is a sports company. If you look at some of the companies, some of the pro athletes that have partnerships with these particular companies, they use, like, for example, in basketball, if they have a partnership with Nike or they have a partnership with Under Armour, they have to make sure that the products that they're receiving are authentic, because they're putting a lot of wear and tear on these shoes. They're putting a lot of wear and tear on these equipments. And what happened is, when you get counterfeit items, I mean, you can risk injury. You can risk just ending your career because the padding in the shoe doesn't fit. It wears down quickly. You roll your ankle, and that's it for you. So authentication is extremely, extremely important.
You know your stuff, man. You know your shoes a lot better than I do. I just like, oh shoot, buy it. Okay.
Yeah.
This one's comfy. China does make really good products. Most of the stuff in my house was made in China.
Yeah.
I've got a really good drill made in China. But what's interesting is it's other industries counterfeiting from within the same country. It doesn't matter what country it's from. If it's made well, it's made well.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Oh, and just an alert to the users in the chat. If you attack other users, I'm going to mute you. I just did. Okay. If you attack other users, I'm going to mute you. You can attack me. Don't attack the other people in the chat. If you attack them, I'm going to mute you. 300-second timeout.
Okay.
Attack me. Don't attack the other people.
Yeah.
I'm the goofball on YouTube. All right. Okay. So we covered most of the Reddit topics. We didn't drill down into them. The keys were Shelley Testnet, New Balance. Another big Reddit topic on the top 10 was the Coindesk reporting on Cardano, and it was about New Balance. But the interesting thing about this article is not that they're reporting on New Balance, it's that the report came from Coindesk, which has had, for some period of time, has not reported on any of Cardano's accomplishments. So by nature of reporting on a Cardano accomplishment, it's significant, and that appears to be that's why it's in the Reddit top 10.
I guess it was too big to avoid this time.
It was too big to avoid. Good point. Or it was big enough to where it finally showed up on the radar.
Yes, yes.
But with a coin being in the top 20, often in the top 12, sometimes in the top 10, Cardano, you'd think that would be, at least on CoinMarketCap, they'd say, okay, that's criteria to say what has been accomplished over there that's newsworthy. But I guess for some period of time, it was kind of a media blackout. So the key point of that article was that Coindesk report on Cardano. Great job, Coindesk. I look forward to more articles on Cardano coming out. And hopefully, if Coindesk will report more on Cardano, they can get more people aware of the rewards coming out starting in mid to late November. Sometime in November, the testnet rewards staking capability, should be out there. And I think we'll be well into the several hundred pools, because being 88 pools right now, I'm anticipating we'll hit some pretty high goals there.
Yes, which is great. And I want to reverse back to the New Balance thing quickly. Shout out to Daniel Friedman. He was on the episode of the Cardano Effect podcast back in the day. He's the business development lead at IOHK, and he's the one that really negotiated for this New Balance deal, and he's been putting in that work for the New Balance partnership. And he alluded to a partnership back in the day. And this is what he was finally talking about. So he's finally had clearance to release the news, and we'll get that final press release soon. So this is something that's been in the works for a while, and he says expect other surprises. So he's working. So the business development team, shout out to Daniel Friedman.
Yes, thank you, Daniel, for that. And he gave us a heads up. I think it was on the April podcast when he was on with us
Yes,
on the
yes,
business development side,
yes,
and said,
yes,
yeah. So that was good. That was good.
yes,
And so now I'm kind of anticipating, going, ooh, what other things do we have coming up for Christmas?
yes, yes,
Yeah, Halloween at the end of the month. Maybe we'll dress up for that on a podcast.
yes,
Okay, so those were the three biggies.
yes.
There were some other articles in there. Anything you wanted to hit on, Philippe?
That's it for me, I believe. I looked at it was a lot of repeats, and of course, one of the coolest things for people that are just tuning in is the map of Shelley Testnet live stream that Rick released, and it's wonderful. Go check it out on his channel, and just leave it as ambient noise while you're doing something else, and just look at the map. And I thought it was very creative, and great job, Rick.
Oh, thank you, Philippe. I appreciate it. It made it into the top 10. I'm surprised. My channel doesn't have a lot of subscribers because it's mostly just technical stuff. So I put a link to the Scorpions Wind of Change down below, because there's no audio with that video. I have it muted. And that way you can play Wind of Change in the background, jam some tunes way back in 2003 from the Scorpions, which for me is still relatively new. I thought that was an appropriate song. Okay. There was a lot of good stuff on there. On David Esser, Senior Product Manager, Cardano from the User Perspective. David Esser has a video out. Check out the video. That was another big hit on Reddit. CryptoVisor also has another video release as well. Check out his video. Oh, Philippe, I almost missed one other big piece of news. Tommy from Aidatainment has been hired at the Cardano Foundation as a content creator. Does an absolutely fantastic hire. I mean, the Aidatainment channel, he's got great content on the website. He has graphs and all kinds of data there. He's got a YouTube channel with up to 11 videos, I think, last time I looked at it, with explainers, where he has videos, some of them made in conjunction with Adasaur. So great explainer videos over there made by Tommy. And now he's officially at the Cardano Foundation as a content creator. So I anticipate even more great content coming from that direction.
Yes.
Well done. Well done, Cardano Foundation. That was a huge, massive thumbs up for that.
Yes. He has a very clean website. One of the most impressive, if not the most impressive, within the Cardano community out there. I would say it's the most impressive, just personal opinion. But he makes great content, and he has a great website. Wonderful.
He does. It takes a long time. Hopefully my internet isn't cutting out. I notice I'm losing it.
You're losing some signal?
Yeah, what happens, I can't show you it up here, but on the live stream map, when you look in the lower left and you see the red bars, red is upload, green is download, okay? The red is on up, pointing upside. When you see it go solid red, that means someone's bootstrapping a node, and my node was selected. It goes through this selection process to pick a node and bootstraps.
Okay.
It downloads the blockchain. So when it first comes alive, it says, oh, I need the blockchain. I need to find a node. It pulls it. And I've noticed it goes solid red, and then a green. You'll see a bar go solid green pointing to a country. And you go, whoa. It's that's when my bandwidth starts to degrade. And that's why my internet's cutting out a little bit. Not cutting out, but it's being more choppy.
Okay.
Plus the live stream. I've got live streaming. I've got it set to 5 megabits per second, 1080p. So it's drawing a lot of bandwidth.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can keep you on for the next 20 minutes. So
it's working good so far.
It's working good so far. I also wanted to retrace. They had the Cardano second year anniversary. So a few ambassadors, I believe 4 ambassadors, including Josh. Josh mentioned it in the comments, said they went to Bulgaria, and I heard that it was a good time and everyone enjoyed themselves. So we saw a couple videos and people were posting some pictures, so it seemed like it was a fun experience.
Yep, there's a beautiful tree planting they did with Vasil, and several people that we know throughout the Cardano space were over there doing the tree planting ceremonies. And well, it's not a ceremony, work, freaking digging
Yes.
holes and planting trees, dude. It's work.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and it's not. You think it's largely symbolic? It's not.
Yes.
30 years from now, you look at that tree and go, "Yeah, we planted that tree."
Yes. Yes. Let's jump to a couple YouTube comments.
Okay.
I see.
Old Pa Sink is in there. Old Pa, thanks for the help out there on Telegram.
Yes. Yes.
Huge shout out to all the people who've been helping out on Telegram. I've got that on the link.
Bruce City 44 Panthers. Oh, Ryan Jones first. Link for the testnet Telegram group. Just type in Cardano testnet Telegram. Just go on Telegram and what's the exact name for it?
Cardano stake pool best practices. We can put the link down below when the video's done streaming. I mean, I could put it in now, but I'm going to kill my bandwidth if I do that.
Yes.
So we'll get that in there.
Sorry if I missed your question, everyone. It's scrolling. I'm looking at multiple screens. Bruce City 44 said yes. The Camorra Mafia, I'm not familiar with that, of Naples, Italy, makes billions just on counterfeit clothing. They hire illegal Chinese immigrants to Italy and ship to American and European stores, smaller stores. Oh, so this is back on the counterfeit issue. Yes, it is an issue with apparel and various other devices and electronics and toys and everything. So we also have Crypto Addictive on Charles's latest video on Twitter. Said ACC said to him that Shelley's coming out this year because of testnet 2 coming in November. The ADA you receive will turn into real tradable ADA when mainnet launches. Yes, that is correct. They will be taking a snapshot, and any rewards that you accumulate from that snapshot period to the mainnet will be credited back to your address. I'm not sure exactly which address it will be credited back to, whether you have to make a special address to hold that special delegation, but it will be clear once it happens. You will be credited.
Yeah, and honestly, I have no idea how it's going to work.
Yes.
Over my head, man.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some comments from like Nicholas Smith. Thank you, Nicholas. He says the African Cardano connection does not seem to be showing up on the test net. All those Ethiopian trainees should have been able to set up a node. There might be nodes running in Africa. They're just not visible to my node. The way the peer discovery works is my node sees certain number of nodes and other nodes see other nodes. Like if this is a group of nodes and this is a group of nodes, and it was a Venn diagram, there might be some overlap where my nodes see some nodes and those nodes see other nodes. So it may not be showing them. They might be there. There's probably a lot of nodes out there that my node doesn't see. If that,
yeah.
Did I explain it?
Yeah.
It's just in the view of the network is simply the view from my location looking out. It's not the view from their locations looking out from their location. All right. So you're saying,
yes.
Philippe?
Oh no, that's good. That's good. Yes, that's true. I see a comment from TradeFeed saying that New Balance makes basketball shoes now. That is true. If anyone watches basketball, Kawhi Leonard from the Toronto Raptors, he's on the LA Clippers now. He won the championship last year. He is sponsored by New Balance, wears New Balance shoes, so maybe we can get a little Cardano logo on one of the shoes or something, like some kind of celebrity recognition in the future. So it's like, oh yeah, this was the product authentication came from Cardano, and like there's a little symbol or in the box or something like that, powered by blockchain or something like that. That would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work though. Who would sponsor who for what?
Yeah.
It's not like Emergo with Ken Kodama had got the Ada car sponsored. Like, okay, we're gonna sponsor your car and put the Ada logo on it. I don't know how that works with shoes.
Yeah.
Usually shoes sponsor sports players.
Yes, that's true. That is true.
So I'm not sure how that would work. Old Pasink says he's running a testnet node on Windows 10. It's a bit hard, a bit hit or miss on 0.5.5, and look forward to 5.6. On his node, nothing happened for hours, and then a massive activity, blocks, etc. Then pause. Yeah, I saw that too, Old Pasink. I saw that on my node yesterday. What I found is I had most of my problems were caused by my own firewall. That was just only my case. But,
Yes.
there's a million different things that could be configured differently. So you never know what's causing it
Yes.
until you go
Yes.
onto Telegram and collaborate. That's when we go in there and learn from each other.
Yes. Huawei Apple says, could Cardano assist the FDA with tracking ingredients for pharma companies? If that falls in supply chain management, I don't know why that couldn't happen, and I think that's very important. The drug industry is extremely important to make sure that products are safe and they're coming from where they're supposed to be coming from, and they have particular brands, and it's not off brands trying to sell under the name of another brand. There's a lot of that stuff that happens. I just finished watching Breaking Bad. I know it took me a while to finish, but for all Breaking Bad fans out there, I mean, Walter White's meth product, he made sure he stamped his products with a particular signature. I mean, it was a specific formula that was indicative of him. And I think the same, although those are illegal drugs, but the same could be done in the legal market. So that was just a Breaking Bad reference. I really like that show, by the way. So
It's a comparison.
yeah.
It's comparison. That's all it is. Okay. Old Posink, you just want to get on my map. Well, I'll restart the node when I am done with the podcast here. And usually when it starts up, it does some queries and picks up more. It'll show up eventually anyway. Oh, wait, no, I can't restart my node. Well, I can, but it's in a, it might be elected to a leader yet. And I haven't figured out how to figure out when it's supposed to make blocks.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't want to restart it unless I don't have to. It'll show up Old Posink. It'll pop in there.
Yes. So I also wanted to add that it is Q4 now. So that started October 1st. So it is the last quarter of this calendar year. And this is it's a very productive time for product and service companies. I mean, they get a lot of their product sales now. So I have a feeling that there may be some news from here to December. Usually December is a kind of a slow month because employees take vacations and companies kind of wind down. But I anticipate October and November may be newsworthy for Cardano as they try to push as much information out before the end of the year, before they do their holiday recess. So it's very encouraging. So incentivized testnet, want to remind everyone that it's probably going to be out mid-November, and you'll be staking into the holidays. Although it's going to be on the testnet, you will be credited on the mainnet when it hits next year. So think about it as a early holiday gift. You are working, improving the network, getting your rewards, and you'll get credited for that sometime next year, at the beginning of next year.
Not financial advice.
Not financial advice, yes.
Yep. And we know that Cardano has had plenty of delays because you're building something complicated. I'm well aware of it. I have been annoyed by the delays. Okay, yes, it's annoying, but I'm also a patient person, so I've learned to, deal with it. So
Yes. It
that's
takes a
why
while.
I'm.
Yes.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
No, I'm saying that's why I'm still working on the project. I do volunteer time plus a sponsored podcast, and to point out some of the good things in Cardano, we've got 3 podcasts, at least, right? We got Cardano FR, we got the Cardano Community Podcast, and we have this one, and that's an accomplishment.
Yes.
3.
Yes.
I think there might be more. I don't know if there's a Spanish podcast, but Carlos is making videos in Spanish, and he's a very prolific content creator. So if you want to see if your primary language is Spanish, Carlos makes some fantastic videos in Spanish. Check out his channel. I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name. You'll find it. You'll find his channel. Go to the Cardano forum, and he takes many, many, many articles and translates them from English to Spanish and posts them on the Cardano forum.
Yes.
So we have a lot of people putting in a lot of hard work.
Oh, definitely.
And we're aware of our negatives and we're aware of our scars, but we got to focus on the positive and keep pushing forward and never quit.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, it looks like we're approaching that time. Philippe, any last words before we wrap up here? We're going to check chat. We started a little late. We're, 55 minutes now?
Yeah, so we have a few more minutes. We'll get some YouTube questions and we'll sign off in a little bit so everyone can enjoy their weekend.
Oh,
Let us go ahead.
yeah, Deborn has a good question here. He says, how does running a test node benefit Cardano or us in the near term? What is actually being tested? What is being tested is the protocol and the operators. I mean, primarily they're testing the protocol and finding bugs because it's in the wild now. It's in the wild. People are running Windows 10, Windows Server, various versions of Linux, various versions of Mac OS X. Some are on virtual machines. Some people are on physical hardware. Some people are on Amazon web servers. If you take all those different variations and put them into a matrix, you're looking at like 20 or 25 different possible ways of running a node, right? With all the different variations. I could do the math, but I'm not going to do it. So that has to be tested. All this different variation, and they're finding bugs. So what's being tested is primarily the software and the bugs. Secondarily, it's given the pool operators the ability to refine their skills, get the pool set up correctly, and understand what they're doing. But the goal is to find bugs.
Yes.
Post them on
Yes.
GitHub.
Yes.
There's been
Yes.
a lot of GitHub posts too. Not a lot, but there's been an appropriate amount.
And the couple bugs that we've encountered, they've been fixed. So the team is actively looking at those bugs and making sure that they deploy the next patch to make sure that it's as smooth as possible.
Yeah, I reported a bug and I need to go fix it. I need to go make a correction on GitHub. It wasn't a bug in the software. I screwed up my firewall. I had it
Okay.
overly adjusted,
Okay.
and so I got to go back in GitHub and say that wasn't a bug.
Okay.
I'm corrected. Operator error. No surprise there. All right. Any other questions?
I see a question from TSM says, "Hi, uh, just wanted to know, will IOHK still develop for Cardano once its 2020 contract is up?" So if you're familiar with how the contract works, once they hit a series of milestones, they are finished with the project more or less. But Charles has said in multiple live streams that IOHK wants to continue working on the Cardano project. So what's going to end up happening is once the network is decentralized and there's governance, we're going to be allowed to vote for who we want back on the project. And IOHK will be submitting a bid. So it's going to work similar to contracting, where it's going to be an open atmosphere for maybe different projects or different companies or different people with different visions to propose, put their best foot forward as to why they should be the ones that should continue the work of Cardano in this particular direction. This is what it means to be decentralized, and this is why Charles continuously preaches that the project is going to be bigger than him. It's going to be all of our projects. So if you like the work that IOHK is going to be doing, and right now, I mean, if IOHK contract was up today, I guarantee you a majority of the community would vote for IOHK to continue coming back on this project because they have the most technical expertise and they have a wide array of all-stars who are coding for that particular project. I don't think any other third party would come close to what IOHK is producing right now. So they're going to have to bid, and it's just going to be a bidding process. But I don't see why the 2020 is not that far away. I don't see why not IOHK wouldn't stay on board for a long period of time.
I think they will too. After ProleteR. So once ProleteR is implemented, voting will be available, and then you'll be able to vote. At some point, there will be a proposal saying who should continue.
Yes.
Right. Usually, the incumbent has an advantage because they have all the talent. It's really hard for someone to take over. How do I program in blockchain and Rust and Haskell when most of their developers are doing JavaScript and C++?
Yes. Yes.
It's really hard to do that. That's just my opinion. You know, if you got a
Yes.
big team of their skills are in C++, all the other stuff, it's hard to pick up and just or drop everything and say, I'm going to program in Haskell instead. They're going to have to go through all the growing pains. There's growing pains.
Yes. Yes.
That's just all. That's how it is.
Yes. We have a question from Huawei Apple says that Charles will move over to ETC. No, he won't. IOHK has a team of people that are currently working on the ETC project, and we had a couple of people, one person on the Cardano Effect podcast. ETC is a very decentralized movement. Rick is more knowledgeable on speaking on ETC, but just because he is providing resources for the project in a particular fashion doesn't mean he's going to move completely over to ETC. I don't know if you wanted to elaborate on that.
Yeah, well, Alan Verbner from Team Grothendieck was on
Yes.
here on Ethereum Classic episode, and the blockchain industry can't keep fighting with each other. I know I'm guilty. I do it on Twitter, man. I'm terrible, but Ethereum Classic has always been a on the Daedalus Wallet website. If you look on there, there's an Ethereum icon because they plan on interfacing with it. Team Grothendieck has always been a subset of IOHK, team working on Ethereum Classic. It is hyper decentralized. I think Ethereum Classic is probably the most decentralized proof of work blockchain out there, possibly the most decentralized proof of work blockchain. When I ran an Ethereum node, that's where I learned, that map I'm live streaming? I learned that from Ethereum Classic. I would go to install the client, download the client, and set up the blockchain. And I'd be like, wow, where's all this data coming from? And I'd open up that map, and there was 800 Ethereum Classic nodes, connections. I don't know, there may have been more or less, some number more or less. That's only from what I could see. I was like, 800, what the? That's some seriously decentralized stuff right there, man.
Yes, that is very decentralized. Very decentralized.
It lit the whole world up. Well, not the whole world, but the northern hemisphere lit.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
So no, Charles is not going to Ethereum Classic. That's like me saying, I'm going to mow my lawn forever. It's something that I have to do.
Yes. Yes.
It's not what I do always. It's just what I do when you know what I mean.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a question from Kiz at the Grand. Hope politics don't get involved with voting. How about a peer review process to determine who has the best tech plan for this product? I want to elaborate on this because part of the tenets of Cardano are this idea of having a liquid democracy when it comes to voting. So if you feel like it's going to get political in any type of way, there's a way for you to still be involved. Liquid democracy means that it could work in both ways. You could delegate your vote to someone who may represent you in like a representative type of way, or if you don't feel like anyone represents you, you can vote for yourself, and you can use your own vote in order to influence the direction of the project. And I think that's the way democracy works best. I think that if you have too much of representative democracy, you may get to that point where people get too corporate and no one actually represents your viewpoint. So there still needs to be a way for you to participate in the system without having to constantly feel like you have to delegate to a third party. So they're going to be third parties, and you can always be that person that just goes on their own and votes on their own. So I think it's the best of both worlds.
Yes, there are research papers that go into that help reduce the vote buying. There is research being done in that area. And the cool thing with Cardano, the plan is, and remember, I always say the word plan. Okay, words are important. You'll be able to delegate your stake to one pool, but that doesn't mean you're voting for that pool. You delegate your stake as in your money. You can delegate your vote to an expert and say, oh, I agree with that expert, and I want to, so my money's going to that pool that's reliable, and my vote is going to that expert that knows what they're doing, right? You can do that.
Exactly. And I think it's going to be a good system because it's going to allow people that if you have a particular viewpoint or you're passionate about a particular point, you can really get involved and make your case, create whatever material you need in order to try to get as many people to vote with you as possible for a particular the direction of things to go, and without it completely fragmenting the community. If you look at what happened with Bitcoin, and there are various people, various different parties that think that there are different solutions for Bitcoin. And obviously Bitcoin has a lot of problems, but you have Bitcoin Core, you have Bitcoin Cash, you have Bitcoin SV. They think that scaling Bitcoin involves making larger blocks and this and that. And Bitcoin Cash is in its own realm, and it's much quicker than Bitcoin. And Bitcoin SV is supposed to trump this and this and this and this. So this prevents all these splits from happening, having a combination of liquid and representative democracy. So you don't have a whole bunch of people that all of a sudden you can view them as going rogue or deviating from the plan and creating their own thing. While I think it's great, I think that there still needs to be some unity moving forward in order to make sure that the project achieves its goals and move the ball forward. So there's not too much dissent everywhere within the community. So you don't have a Cardano Cash, Cardano SV, Cardano Lite, and a whole bunch of other forks that happen as a result of people just not agreeing.
Yeah, that would be good, because the forks are what kind of, just how you described it. The diverging blockchains. I think it's necessary. We're going to need multiple chains out there to meet the transactions per second needs. Yes. To meet the transaction speeds per second needs of the world, it's going to take multiple chains or multiple side chains and multiple technologies enabled to do that.
Yes.
I calculated the minimum is 82,750 transactions per second.
Really?
Yeah, that's the minimum. That's how many you're going to need to support 7 billion people with one transaction per day.
One per 80.
Yeah, 7.1 billion divided by the number of seconds in a day. That's how many transactions per second you need.
No.
It's some crazy number, like 82,750 transactions per second.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's what I do when I get bored, man. Fifth grade math. I was looking for a tweet, man. I wanted to wrap this up on a high note. There's a congressman, because people mention politics in the chat. Politics have to be addressed. People like to avoid politics. Politics have to be addressed. You cannot get anywhere without it. And I'm not saying pick a side, left, right, socialist to democratic, or however we're going to pick it. I'm not talking about that kind of politics. There's a tweet from a Republican congressman from Ohio. And he submitted a bill to get the SEC to remove crypto from the 1933 and 1934 guidelines that define a security. So he is submitting the bill. That's the stage where it's at. I can't find the tweet. I was just looking for it. If anyone knows who it is, let me know in the chat. We'll see if we can get him on a podcast. I'd love to have that congressman on here. He's a retired Army Ranger, and he's pro-crypto. That'd be good to have him on, right?
Yeah, no, for sure.
You think I get
I have
Joe
some
Rogan?
questions to ask him.
You think you think I get Joe Rogan to come on the Cardano Effect? Hey, Joe, come on the Cardano Effect, man. Smoke one. I would love to, man. I'd love to get Joe Rogan on here. I would totally love it.
Yeah. Joe Rogan is way too big for us.
Like,
way too big for us.
He's such a nice guy, though.
Yeah.
How about Dwayne Johnson? He only lives like 100 miles from here. Somewhere between me and Dan Larimer. Dan Larimer is 260 miles away. Somewhere between me and Dan Larimer is Dwayne Johnson. How about Dwayne?
Cardano needs the moon first, and then I think that we might have some more pull with like celebrity type figures. You know,
we got Caitlyn on, dude.
That is true. That is true. But she's like a crypto celebrity. Like this is different, you know? That's different. True. Dwayne Johnson, Joe Rogan is like, I mean, he could probably be
he's up there with Caitlyn. Yeah, like, they're Joe Rogan, Caitlyn Long. They're about, no. He's probably gonna, if he ever watched our podcast, he would say, "Hey, I need to invite Caitlyn onto the Joe Rogan podcast."
I guess.
That's exactly what's going to happen, right?
Exactly.
All right, man. Coffee's starting to wear off.
Okay, so I'll wrap it up. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We appreciate you. We appreciate the questions. Thanks for joining us this Saturday morning. This is our live weekly recap. There are a lot of things that are happening within the Cardano project. The Shelley Testnet is progressing well. We're in the networking stage. We have 88 nodes that are live right now with 93 connections. We are only missing the continents of Antarctica and Africa. All other continents are represented. We have South America, Australia, well, New Zealand, not technically Australia yet, right. Asia, Europe, and we have North and South America. So that is wonderful. Keep on running those nodes. do not be afraid if you do not have the technical expertise. Delegation is coming. Incentivized testnet will be sometime in November. We're looking at mid-November, and any rewards that you gain during those epochs from the incentivized testnet to the mainnet will be credited back to your account once we hit mainnet. All that information will be presented when the time comes. Also, the upcoming New Balance announcement, look for October 14th for that official press release. We are looking forward to see exactly what capabilities this partnership will be and what is the capacity of this contract. Coindesk just released an article on Cardano, and they're very, you could say, anti-Cardano from in the past, as far as just not releasing news about what happened about Cardano. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This is our live weekly recap. Until the next week of the Cardano Effect podcast, have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful week, and we will join you again next week. We are contacting people, and hopefully we can get some guests on soon. Until then, it's just going to be us two doing our live weekly recap series. So enjoy yourself, and this is episode 50 of the Cardano Effect podcast. Thank you to everyone for supporting us for our first 50 episodes. This is a milestone. Continue to hit that subscribe button. Continue to share. We couldn't do this without you, and we plan to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest crypto podcast once this bull run starts happening again. And ADA starts mooning. We're going to be the biggest podcast. Well, at least that's what we're trying to do. So until the next episode of the Cardano Effect, bye everyone. Thank you.